That means, in other words, in your local language, there should be master and servant relationship. Master and servant relationship. Okay. So, any amount received from your employer and if your employee, then it comes under income from salary. So it means there should be master and servant relationship. If whatever the amount are receiving from the other party, if he is not an employer, then we cannot call them as income from salary. The employer may include government, local authority, private company, MNCs company, foreign government, public body, or any other firm or association. Now, for example, if as a teacher, if he gets income from correcting the answer scripts, any amount received by correction the answer scripts from the university, that cannot be called as income from salary. That has to be called as income from other sources. Okay, so there should be a master and servant relation. If there is no master and servant relation, we cannot call them as income from salary. You have to club them, you have to put under income from other sources. Similarly, if any director of the company, of the firm, now there are different types of directors. We have part-time director, we have full-time director. You might have learned in the previous subjects. Suppose he is a part-time director, he is not a full-time director, or he is not a full-time director. He will get some fees from that company. He is a part-time director. Now that doesn't mean that there is a master and servant relation. That means it should be continuous. It should be full-time work. And whatever the fees received by a director, if he acts as a part-time director, that income is called income from other sources. You cannot put under income from salary. So there should be a long-term employee and employee relationship or master and servant relationship. This is the first important feature. If you're not getting your amount, your income from your employer, then it is not called income from salary. Now, the salary may be paid in cash or in kind. The second important feature means it may be paid, salary may be paid in cash or in kind. Or in kind. Other than the cash also you may get some salary. So we can take them as under income from salary. Second important point. You are getting salary in cash or in kind or in some other articles or some other products. Third point. Now suppose if we take the example of salary of MP. Salary of MP, Member of Parliament or MLA. Now, the salary received by the MP or MLA, you cannot call them as income from other sources. Why? Because the MP or MLA, they are not a government employee. They stay for 5 years and they will change every 5 years. They are not a government employee. So whatever the amount paid to MP or MLA comes under income from other sources. Comes under the head income from other sources. You cannot club as income from salary. So whatever salary of MP or MLA cannot be treated as income from salary. Cannot be treated as, cannot be called as, or cannot be treated as income from salary. But you can put under which head? Can put under can be put under income from other sources. Income from other sources. Other sources. Why? Because they are not servants of, they are not servants of the government. MP or MLA, they are not public servant. They are not a government employee or private employee. The third important point. Okay, the fourth important point, you have to differentiate between employment and profession. Employment and profession. We discussed already in income from business, profits and gains from income from business or profession. Now, for example, we will take the case of chartered accountant, CA. Suppose he is given some amount by a company to audit their accounts. He has been taken by the company to audit their accounts as an external auditor. As an external auditor. Now, whatever the money received by chartered accountant to audit the accounts of such company, that is termed as, that income is termed as professional income, not from income from salary. Professional income. The CA, chartered accountant, auditing the accounts of the company, you will get some remuneration, some fees. So that income is called as professional income. Suppose if the same chartered accountant is given employment, if the same chartered accountant is given employment in the company, is given employment. Now, given employment means the relationship will appear. The master and servant relationship will appear. Suppose the same CEO is given employment in a company as an internal auditor. As an internal auditor. Is employed by a company as an internal auditor. In that case, that is taken as, that is taxable under the head income from salary. That is taxable under the head income from salary. Okay. Suppose the first case, if CA is employed as an external auditor, external auditor, you will get some income. So that income is called income from profession. That income is called income from profession. But if the same person is employed, is given employment by a company as an internal auditor, you can call them as, you can put under income from salary. So you have to distinguish between what is employment, what is profession. Profession, mostly 99% cases they use a skill. They use a skill. Employment also they use a skill, but more important, most of the cases, 99.99%, in profession they use a skill. Okay, this is a differentiation you have to make. Income from profession and income from salary. Now, the fifth point, any amount received by a partner of a firm, any remuneration received by a partner of a partnership firm, what happens in that case? Do you call them as income from salary? No. Why? Because you cannot call them as income from salary. So what we have to do? That amount is taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession, or that is taxable under the head income from business. So whatever the salary, whatever the commission, whatever the bonus, whatever the fees received by a partner of a partnership firm, it is taxable under the head profits and gains of business or profession or income from business. Cannot call them as income from salary. This is the fifth very important point. So you can have to call them as simply you can say income from business. Whatever the amount received by the partner in the form of whatever the amount received by the partner in the form of salary, commission, or bonus, or fees. That is taxable under the head income from business. Income from business, not from income from salary. Imagine you're a partner of a business firm, partnership firm. You're receiving salary every month. You cannot call it salary. You have to put under income from business. You cannot put under income from salary. So that is taxable under income from business. This is a very important point, fifth point. Sixth point. Suppose you're working in a firm for 5 years. After 5 years, you are discontinued from that firm. Whatever you got the amount in the past 5 years, that will be taxable under the head income from salary. Whatever the amount you received, what is the payment received after coming out of the service from a former employee, you have to tax under the income from salary. That means amount received after resigning from service or after resigning from service. Whatever the amount received or resigning from service, that we can tax under income from salary. So that is taxable under the head income from salary. Similarly, you may get salary from more than one employer. You will get salary from more than one employer. Salary from more than one employer. You may get salary from more than one employer. In that case also, we will take the aggregate, amount, and you have to put under the head income from salary. Okay, this is a very important point. It may be from more than one employer. You have to calculate it, put total from different employer, and you have to pay tax under the head income from salary. This is 7th point. 8th point, the salary is taxable. You have to pay tax if you get a salary. Suppose during the past 2 months you have not received a salary because of COVID pandemic, but still you have to pay tax. So salary taxable either on due basis, you have not received it, but it is due, outstanding, or receipt basis. Either it is due or receipt basis, still it is taxable under the head income from salary. So it may be either on due basis or a receipt basis, that is taxable under the head salary. 9th important point, suppose you are getting a salary which is tax free. There are some part of the salary which is a tax free salary. What you have to do is, you have to add this tax free salary. You have to include the tax free salary. Add tax free salary. Whatever you are getting a tax free salary, you have to add it to the what? Net salary. Add it to net salary to calculate to calculate gross salary. Gross salary. Okay. Then on gross salary, we have some exemptions or deductions. Then you have to pay the tax. So the tax-free salary, whatever the amount you are getting, you have to add this tax-free salary to the net salary. So you get gross salary. On gross salary, you get some exemptions and deductions. And on that, you have to pay the tax. This is the 9th important point. 10th important point. Point. The important elements of salary or features of salary are points where you have to take into consideration. And remember, major part, there should be a master and servant relationship. If there is no master and servant, then it is not called income from salary. It is called income from other sources. Suppose you are getting income from business, that is taxable under income from business. Suppose you are a professional, as a doctor or engineer or chartered accountant, then in that case you have to put that category under income from profession. Now this 10th important point. The 10th important point is, suppose your employer is giving salary to you, but you say, I don't want salary. I want to forego my salary. That is voluntary, you are refusing to take the salary. But employer is paying you salary. You say, voluntary foregoing. You don't want to take the salary. You are foregoing your salary, but still that amount you refuse to take, that is taxable. That is taxable under the head income from salary. Even if you do not take, no, you have to pay tax on that income from salary, because you have refused to take. He is giving you salary. You voluntarily said that I don't want the salary. But still, if you don't take the salary, still you have to pay tax under the head income from salary. That is taxable under the head income from salary. This is the 10th point. The 11th point, there is a meaning. Suppose there is an agreement between the employer and employee. Surrender of salary. Surrender of salary. Suppose there is an agreement between master and servant or employer and employee. In that case, you will not pay tax on that salary. If you surrender, if there is an agreement between, there should be an agreement between employer and employee. Employer and employee. In that case, what happens? That salary is not taxed, not taxable. Not taxable. That is called not taxable salary. That is being not paying tax if there is an agreement. That is called surrender of salary. Now the 12th part is pension. Suppose you retire from the service. If you retire from the service, you will get a pension after 60 years or 58 years or 65 years. Okay, after retirement, when you get a pension, what is a pension? After retirement, you get a pension. You're government employee, you will get a pension. After retirement, let us say 60 years. After 60 years, you get a pension. Now that pension is taken as, the pension is treated as income from salary. That pension is treated as income from salary. After 60 years, after retirement, if you get a pension, monthly pension, that is considered as, that is taxable as income from salary. We will discuss the different types of pensions are there. Then 13th part, very important point. Now there are some deductions made by employer. Deductions by employer. For example, there are some deductions called, for example, the employer has deducted some amount from your salary, that is called TDS, tax deduction of source. Suppose your income exceeds 2.5 lakhs, if you don't have any savings, you have to pay tax rate of 5%. From 5 to 10, 20%, more than 10, 13%. Provided you don't have any savings, then employers deductive tax, TDS. Or not only TDS, there are different types of deductions made by employer. For example, employer deducted the amount, a part of the amount from salary as a provident fund. That is a provident fund. Well, provident fund is that part of the amount, a part of the amount, let us say 8% or 10%. Suppose salary is 10,000. On 10,000, 10%. 1,000 rupees you deducted every month, and that amount will be invested. That amount will be deposited in the employee provident fund scheme, the central government scheme. Every month the deduction of 10%, 1,000 rupees. And after retirement, what happens? After retirement, from this amount you will get a pension. Okay, so employer may deduct TDS or provident fund, or he may deduct for medical and staff welfare scheme. The employer may deduct some amount for medical and staff welfare scheme. In that case, what you have to do? Whatever the deductions made by the employer, all these are added back. All these are added again to what? Added back to your net salary. Added back to net salary, you will get gross salary. Same case, on gross salary, we will get some exemptions or deductions. On that, I need to pay the tax. This is the second point. So any deductions made by the employer, that has to be added back to the net salary. The last point. That is the last point. Now there is a term called family pension. Family pension. What is the family pension? Now there is a difference between pension and family pension. What is family pension? Any amount paid to whom? Paid to widow of that employee or legal heir, whoever may be, children or son or daughter. Okay, after the death of his employee, any amount paid to the widow or legal heir after the employee death, that is called the family pension. That family pension is not treated, should not treat as a salary. Do not treat as a salary, income from salary. Do not treat as income from salary. The family pension, do not treat as income from salary. Okay, then what you have to do, sir? You have to treat as income from other sources. You have to consider as income from other sources. Treat as income from other sources. Income from other sources. Again repeating, the family pension is paid to the widow or legal heir after the death of the employee, and the family pension is taken as, considered as income from other sources. It is not taken as income from salary. What is pension, sir? Pension is given to the employee after retirement, not after death. But after death, whatever amount is given, that is called family pension. But after retirement, whatever amount is given to the employee, that is called a pension. There is a pension. If he is getting a pension after retirement, you have to take as an income from salary. If you are taking a family pension after death of the employee, that has to be taken as income from other sources. So this is the points you have to consider while doing problems on income from salary. Okay, so major part is there should be
relationship of employer and employee. If there is no relationship, then you can classify that income as income from other sources. If there is a relationship, then it is called income from salary. Now I'll draw the table on the board. The different heads. The first is to compute income from salary. We have different heads. First is salary. We'll discuss one by one. I'll draw the table. Pro forma. Second is allowances. Third is perquisites. Fourth is profits in lieu of salary. We'll discuss each one by one in detail. First, I'll draw the table. Part of part one first today. So this is table is the first column particular, second column rupees column, third column rupees column. Rupees column, the particulars column, first column particulars, one for inner column, other for outer column. So what you do heading computation of computation. Hello. First, you take the first heading is salary. First heading is salary. So what are the components of salary? So first you have to take as basic salary. Basic salary or basic pay. Basic salary or basic pay. The first element component under the head salary. Next is bonus. Second element is bonus. Third element is commission. Third element is commission. Fourth element is fees. Fees. Fifth component is overtime remuneration. Overtime remuneration. Next is leave encashment. Leave encashment. Next is employer's contribution. Employer's contribution to RPF. I'll tell you what is RPF. In excess of prescribed limit. In excess of prescribed limit. Last component under the salary head is interest credited to RPF in excess of prescribed limit. In excess of prescribed limit. So this is the different components. It comes under the head salary. So basically there are how many one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 components under base salary. First is basic salary or basic pay. Both are same, no change. Let's say basic salary or basic pay. We'll discuss one by one tomorrow. Next is bonus. Next is commission, fees, overtime remuneration, leave encashment. Suppose you are not taking any leaves, that leaves can be converted into cash according to rules of the different organizations. Employer contribution to RPO. What is RPO? Recognized Provident Fund. There are 3 different types of which are Provident Fund recognized by the government. One is for government employees. That's called Statutory Provident Fund, SPF, Statutory Provident Fund. Next one is for private employees. That is called EPF, Employees Provident Fund. And the last one is for everyone, common public. That is called Public Provident Fund. And for Provident Fund, the employer has to contribute some percentage, the employer has to contribute some percentage. Both has to contribute some percentage. And any employer, any contribution made to the employer or master in excess, more than the limit mentioned in the act, in the rule, that is included here. That is, these are taxable. Similarly, whenever you are receiving interest in recognized Provident Fund, RPF recognized Provident Fund, in excess, suppose actually you have to get 12% rate of interest, but you got 15%. It is there mentioned in the rule that till 12% it is tax free. Above 12% is taxable. So getting above 12%, that is called interest credited to RPF in excess of the limit, mentioned limit, prescribed limit. So all these are taxable. First, that is salary, under the income from salary. There are 4 heads are there. What is basic salary, basic pay? Basic pay is the amount given to employee to cover the minimum necessaries of life. To cover the minimum necessities of life, roti and kapda. To some extent, makan. Is living in rented house, that cover the rent amount also. The basic pay or basic salary is given to employee or workers to cover the minimum basic necessaries of life. Bonus, you know that. You know what is bonus, okay? Commission, any commission issued by employee. Fees, apart from that, you will get some fees, extra work, or we can say overtime remuneration. Overtime work is doing, is get some amount. Leave encashment, actual leave encashment. If you don't take leaves in a particular year, whatever leaves you're not taken, that can be converted into cash. You will get cash payment. Employer contribution to our employer contribution, if it is exceeds particular limit, taxable. And interest, if you're getting interest, if you cross that limit, taxable. The first head. So that covers 8 components under the head salary. Then second is there. Part 2 is there is a part 1 only. The part 4 are part 1, 2, 3, and 4. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. Stage 1 there is a different components under the head salary. Stage 2 is there. Stage 3, stage 4. Add up all the stages, you will get gross salary. Okay. So heading should be computation of income from salary. Computation of income from salary for the assessment year. For the assessment year 2021. Should write the heading. If you don't write the heading, you lose the marks. So again, we have to cover today or tomorrow stage 2. So we have stage 3 and stage 4, or part 2, part 3, part. I covered only part 1. So I'll stop here and take the attendance.